What is up, guys? Eric Prey, Table Rock Fishing Intel, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. This is the longer version, more detailed version for Table Rock Fishing Intel Pro members. Again, thank you for being Pro members, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Thank you for supporting what we do and helping us to bring you more videos, more fishing reports, and more information about how to catch fish on Table Rock Lake. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 915.5 with half a foot above pool. So what, in 2.5 weeks, the Corps has dropped the lake by 6 foot. Pretty impressive. Wouldn't want to be fishing bull shoals because it's 16 or 17 feet high and beaver's still 9 feet high. So going to have some more water coming into the lake, I'm sure, because they're going to have to start releasing it from beaver any day now at a little bit quicker pace. Water temperature, you know, guys, I have seen in the last couple of days, the water temperature has really skyrocketed. Actually, since Saturday, I would say it's skyrocketed. Right now, about the coldest I'm seeing is around 58 or 59. That's in the really clear water down by the dam. If you get up into the rivers, up the White, up the Kings, up the James, probably up Long Creek, I'm seeing 60 to 64. It's only about 1 o'clock right now. It would not surprise me at all that by the end of the day today, there's probably going to be some 65-degree water found, probably in the shallows, in any of those river arms. So definitely got some stuff going on. It's got the fish moving. It's got them doing some different things, and it certainly has them biting a lot better than they have been for the last couple of weeks. Of course, best way to know, and you guys know, be a member of Table Rock Fishing Intel, and you get all this information all the time. But if you are coming down and you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, I have been to the lower end a couple of times, and I'll be brutally honest with you guys. As soon as I launch my boat, pick my people up, I run to the dirtiest water I can find, which is all going to be up Long Creek. I have not fished in the super clear water for about a week. Last time I was down there, though, we were catching them on a swim bait, basically the Kitech 2.8, fishing it on gravel and rock mix points, gravel and rock mix pockets. I would say that bite is probably still good. I would also say that you could catch them on a fluke if the water has warmed up enough in those same areas. My issue with the clear water, number one, if I got dirty water to fish, I'm going to fish dirty water over clear. But my issue with the clear water right now is that is where most of the moss is growing. Where you've got that clear water is where most of the moss is on the bottom, so it's making it very difficult for you to throw a jig, a shaky head, a Ned, a tube, any of the typical pre-spawn baits that we like to throw, even a crankbait. Anything that's going to come in contact with the bottom, you're going to be picking up moss in that clear water. In the stained water up above the 86 bridge, I've been catching them primarily on a jig and a shaky head. Most of the fish are 5 to about 15 foot deep, and they are on gravel and rock mix points and pockets leading back into spawning pockets. And most of them, when you find one, you're going to find a group of them. You're going to find several fish, catching them on the squirrel head, catching them on the Pro Spider jig. Have not thrown a tube much, but I'm sure I could catch them on a tube, and I'm sure you can catch them on a Ned rig if that's what you're so inclined in that stained water. It doesn't have to be really dirty. It just needs a little bit of stain to keep that moss from growing quite so thick, and you can certainly catch them doing that. You get a windy day. I know a buddy of mine was up there around the Arkansas state line this past week, and he caught them good on a crankbait. He was throwing a rock crawler, but he said he also had a couple on a square bill. He got up even a little bit shallower and threw a square bill back in a pocket and caught a few doing that. And I'm certain if you can catch them on a square bill, you can catch them on a chatterbait like a jackhammer, or you can catch them on a spinnerbait around any flooded wood, any flooded cover. The water's come down fast enough. It's getting harder and harder to find any bushes in the water, so chasing fish around the bushes really hasn't been working. But if you've got any wood at all in the water, you could certainly throw a chatterbait or a spinnerbait around there and more than likely get bit and probably catch a better fish doing that. Go up in the mid-lake area. Mid-lake is pretty clear, actually, and you will run into moss in the mid-lake area. I've definitely seen quite a bit of moss the couple of times I was there, and I've had to run to find some stained water either in the James or in the White to get away from it. But there's definitely some moss in that area. Makes it hard to throw a jig, shaky head, which is kind of my primary pattern right now. I'm catching most of my fish on a jig and a shaky head, or a crankbait. But you can catch them on a swim bait up there, around the brush piles, around some of the flooded timber. And you could probably catch them on a fluke as well. I have not done it much. I didn't mention this in the first one, but there are definitely fish starting to move to beds. I have not seen anything that is locked on yet as far as a fish that is guarding a nest. But I have seen buck males up there less than 10 foot deep, clearing off the gravel, clearing off the moss, and sitting on a bed. But when you make a pitch to them, if you can get that close to them, you make a pitch to them and they shoot off. They are not guarding nests. They are waiting for the females. Would not surprise me to see females move up with this warmer water that we're going to have this week, and we'll probably see that first wave of spawners move up by this weekend because the water temperature is rising much faster than I anticipated even a week ago. But bites that are working there, if you can find areas without moss. Squirrel head, pro spider jig. Again, I'm looking for mixed rock and gravel. I'm not catching them on pure gravel yet. I would say probably by this time next week we'll be talking about catching them on pure gravel, just the way the water temperature is coming up. But I've got to have a little bit of rock mixed in order to get bit. Most of the fish I'm catching are between 5 and 15 foot deep if I can find areas without moss. If I can't find an area without moss, I'm throwing it to those same locations. I'm throwing a swim bait, Kitech 2.8 on a 1/4 ounce head, and you got to keep it up off the bottom at least for that first 10 to 20 feet off of the bank. And then you can let it drop a little bit more. But if those fish are up there in that first, where it's 5 foot deep, 8 foot deep, and they see that thing zinging over their head at about 2 or 3 feet below the surface, they're going to come up and bite it. They've been very aggressive this last week. Spinnerbait, chatterbait bite as well. Again, the bushes pretty much are out of the water. I've caught a couple on a chatterbait around some of the boat docks, especially the backside of shallow boat docks, keeping it up off the bottom, and most of those of course are cruisers that are up there doing it. And I've caught a few in a weightless Senko up there as well, not letting it sink all the way to the bottom, pitching it where I'm seeing cruisers and letting it fall. As soon as it hits the bottom, I lift it back up off the bottom and reel it a little bit and bring it down. But if you get moss on it, you're done. You got to bring it in and clean it off, but you can catch them doing that as well. James River has got some color, so you definitely have areas that do not have moss on them. Best bite I've got going in the James right now is on a shaky head or a jig. You could probably catch them on a tube. You could probably catch them on a Ned if that's what you like to do. Again, I'm looking for gravel and rock mixed pockets and points. Not going down a straight long stretch of bank. I'm looking for areas where these fish are going to move in and they're going to spawn. Whether they're up there cruising or they're just now staging, that's where I'm catching most of the fish. Outside those spawning pockets, anywhere from about 5, sometimes even shallower, as shallow as 2 feet deep, out to about 10 or 12 feet deep. Gravel and rock mix, dragging that thing on the bottom, hopping it along the bottom. You can catch a few on a swim bait as well, if you're so inclined. Throwing that 2.8 or even a 3.3, 1/4 ounce head, and working it from the bank out to find those fish that are just up off the bottom. There are still quite a few fish suspended. Most of them, again, like I said, are on the points or leading back to the backs of the pockets, but they are definitely relating to spawning pockets. Did catch a few up there when we had some bushes in the water on a chatterbait. I would say right now, if you went up the James far enough and started to find where you've got all those laydowns and all that wood in the water, you could probably catch them on a chatterbait or a spinnerbait with this water temperature around those laydowns, around that sort of thing. Haven't really thrown a crankbait up there, so I can't tell you if the crankbait bite's going on, but I would imagine if I can catch them on a crank or a chatterbait or a spinnerbait, probably catch them on a square bill up there as well. Go up in the white, and I have spent, gosh, in the last week at least 3 days up the white. And the best bite is where the water has some color to it because you've got much less moss there. Just got off the white, fished around Shell Knob again today. Good watercolor in Shell Knob, not a whole lot of moss. Most of the fish we caught were on a swim bait, Kitech 2.8, on a 1/4 ounce head, throwing it to the bank, reeling it, keeping it up off of the bottom, reeling it, catching those fish mostly between 5 and 10 foot deep. A lot of fish, a lot of keepers, not a lot of big fish, but a lot of fish and a lot of keepers doing that. Catch them on a shaky head as well, a jewel squirrel head, catch them on a pro spider jig as well. Color doesn't really seem to matter on the spider jig right now, as long as it's something that's fairly neutral, whether it be Okeechobee blue or bass whacker or gourd green orange. Any of those colors are working right now, and I'm matching it up with either a beaver or a speed craw. I'm a shaky head. I'm just throwing a green pumpkin Senko on there, but catching them again, 2 to 3 foot deep, out to about 10 or 15 foot deep. Gravel and rock mix. Still not catching them real good on gravel. Caught a couple this morning on just straight gravel, but they were smaller fish and they were smaller smallmouth. So not really what we're looking for right there. Up the Kings, talking to a few guys, been catching them on chatterbait around some of the flooded wood up there, spinnerbait around some of the flooded wood up there, especially if you can find some laydowns towards the backs of the creeks or some shallower stumps towards the backs of the creeks. That seems to be where they're finding these better fish, back in these pockets. And those are most likely the females that are waiting for the males to build nests, but they're back in there towards the middle of the creeks. Catch them on a chatterbait, catch them on a spinnerbait, and probably catch them on a crankbait as well, like a square bill if you went up there. But they're definitely catching fish doing that. All in all, the bite's good. The bite is only going to get better. I'm really starting to see a lot of fish moving. We're catching a lot of fish on a daily basis. A week ago I was happy with 10 or 12 fish in a 4-hour trip. Today I think we had probably close to 30 fish. Yesterday did a 6-hour trip, and I know we had over 30, probably close to 35 fish. So definitely the bite is certainly getting better. You're certainly going to catch more fish if you come down the lake this weekend, even though we've got all these tournaments going on. But a lot of fish being caught. It's certainly a fun time to fish Table Rock. Best way to know what's going on, best way to know what bites best. Join Table Rock Fishing Intel. Of course, you guys are members of Table Rock Fishing Intel, and you see that we're putting out reports every day. We're doing video reports, we're dropping other videos, and we're going to have all kinds of tournament results from this weekend. So thanks for being Table Rock Fishing Intel members. If you're coming down, want to hire a guide though, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or shoot me an email or book online at focusfishing.com. Either way, I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching the video again. Thanks for being members of Table Rock Fishing Intel. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.